Hey everyone, UC here from iTradePrice. It is Saturday, April 2nd around 1:30 Eastern. Let's go through our weekly chart analysis. What you are looking at is a monthly view of QQQ, right? We had a monthly bar close just this past couple of days, the month of March. It looks pretty nice, right? Buying pressure. We saw the dips down both these months, previous months, March and February, right? But the closures were kind of way above the lows of those months, right? And now we have a new month. We saw a little bit of dip down. Now let's see if it goes red to green here and we start seeing some pressure build up to the upside. 370 again remains the sort of the initial resistance for the bulls to overcome. Then we, in the lower time frame, then we have 376, right? If I go into a weekly time frame, you can see that's exactly where we sort of got rejected from this past week, 370.1. We've had a nice rally intra-week towards 370, and then we closed back down like with a little bit of top wick, just like previously from that area. So it was kind of expected, right? Nothing, no surprises. Now going into next week, we'll see if it wants to make a higher low, or a non-bearish bar or something like that, and it wants to try to attempt the upside. But on the downside, if it tries to break down below 358, if I bring a daily chart here, you can see the way it's been trading. You don't see the past few weeks, a couple of weeks were all majorly bullish trend bars in the daily time frame, and any bearish day you would not see any follow through to the downside. However, in the past 3 days, this past week, we did see a little bit of follow through to the downside, right? But on Friday we got a little bit of bottom wick right from where the breakout zone was of 358.1. So if we start seeing price trade more and more below 358.1, breaks down, then definitely the next structure to look for is around 350. If I look into my other chart, it's like the 354.9 is the level to target on the downside, because you can see here's the 15-minute view. We are in this sort of a down channel right now in the lower time frame. We broke down below this uptrend line right here, and since then we have seen this sort of the zigzag pattern going down. And now on late Friday we tried to get back above it but couldn't really do it. So 362.1 is the initial resistance we need to see early Monday, and then we'll see if it can build on top of that. But for the structure to get really kind of going on the upside, we really need to get above 365.2 from structural point of view, because that's where sort of the weakness started. So we need to get back above that, and then we can monitor for further continuation in QQQ, right? But that's how it looks like for right now. Amazon, let's get into the monthly view. Again, it will be pretty similar to how you have other tech names and QQQ in general, because it just kind of follows that market or that index. So we do have few months of bottom wicks right here. We did see a little bit of rejection from this uptrend line that it broke down from previous month, but this past month it just kind of closed towards the top end of that range. And now we just it's been just 1 or 2 days, I think, in this past this new month. So very early to form an opinion about this month. But usually if this kind of price action is there, so just kind of take a look back, right? What happened a few months ago, right? We saw a breakdown from this multi-month uptrend line, but no downside follow through. Bottom wicks, buyers bought it back up. We have this news of Amazon splitting as well, supporting any dips. So if I get into a weekly time frame, shows a little bit of a pullback here from this level right here. 34.28 is the level to target on the upside for a higher level breakout, but it is holding this this level. It broke out above 3200, 3246. So as long as we're above that, it can consolidate and see if it can go back up. But if it breaks down below, then definitely it's a weaker it gets in weaker price action, right? In And in the daily time frame, similar view. We had all these nice bullish days, and now in the past couple of days, few days, this past week, we have this little bit of rejection from 34.28 area in general, right? So if I go into, let's say, a 30-minute time frame, we can really time our, if I have to open, hold on, I think that's a better one right there. Yeah, so this is sort of a down channel. So I think that for the chart to get back above into the bullish momentum, it really needs to get above this 330 area, right? Because that's where we started getting weak from, and we have all these bearish bars right there. Every time you start to trade towards that level, we see bears take over. So really need to get above that to have some bullish momentum going into next week. This trend line, down trend line, can be our guide to see if it's getting bouncy here and wants to attempt to the upside, right? But till then, 32.45 was the level. Yesterday we were looking to target on the downside, which we got, so that was a nice play. We got a bounce from there, so now it's sort of in the middle. We'll see what happens next week. Apple, I really like Apple because it bounced from its long-term uptrend line, right? This one right here, and then there's not on a monthly time frame, there's no bearish trend bar. We have all these bottom wicks right here, so that's building sort of the pressure cooker buying pressure, whatever you want to call it. It's and the lower time frame, I think it has gotten above its downtrend line that it was sort of trailing in right here, this one, right? So it got back above that. We have these nice 2 weekly bullish bars, decent volume, not bad, and we got some little bit of pullback right here. So nothing bearish, I would say, just consolidation here towards the high end. If I get into a daily time frame, again, this was the only bearish bar that we saw, like a bearish trend bar, right? This was in itself bearish, but structure wise it was not bearish, right? As it maintained that area. But this one right here did see a little bit of breakdown, right, to the downside, but absolutely no follow through, right? We have this nice hammer bar right at the support of 172, so that's our area of reference now. Going into next week, we will treat it as our sort of make or break point, that if it gets below that, yes, it's getting weak, but if it stays above that, consolidates, then definitely we'll see if it can move towards the upside. Okay, good thing is that on a higher time frame, right, on the monthly time frame, you can see it just looks nice, right? We have this hammer bar, right? This is also a hammer bar. Yes, it's bearish, but with a bottom wick. And now if it breaks out above this, right, this can really fly, right? If I think on a higher time frame, again, that 180, 182 is the level to see if it can break above that. Definitely nice. Or you can try actually against the low of this 172. I mean, I know it's kind of close, but if it starts moving up, you can treat 172 as a swing stop loss, and then just kind of try to see if it can move higher. It's a good risk and reward. Think of that. If it's going to fail, it's going to fail right now, and then you don't have much to lose, right? From risk perspective, that I always say. Think from risk perspective. Tesla, everyone's favorite. At least it's my favorite in terms of trading. Again, monthly bar, you can see good follow through to these bottom wicks, nice, and we still have to target going above this trend line here, that we've been trying to see if it can target above that, and maybe this month it does that, right? Because our April bar started here in a green sort of a manner. We saw a little bit of dip down, buyers stepped in, take it back up. Again, too early to be evaluating a monthly bar, but the setup is there, right? Weekly, no weekly bearishness, maintaining its recent up move, right? Every time we have traded here in the past, right, we saw some nice rejections to the downside. We'll see what happens next week, if it moves up or if it tries and gets rejected from this trend line back down, or if it breaks out. From a higher time frame perspective, it looks good, right? But of course we trade on a daily basis, so we just need to figure out what's happening on a lower time frame, right? here's the sort of the 4-hourly chart, and to be honest with you, it's just consolidating here towards the highs, right? We were targeting for the price to take or get above this trend line, which it hasn't done that, but it just looks like it wants to, right? I mean, as long as it can hold this 1053 on a higher time frame, it just looks like it wants to kind of get above this 119, 104, 119 level, something like that. If I bring the other chart, which has the levels and everything, yeah, it looks messy, but that's the one which we like to trade in. Let's see, let's go like a 30-minute view, right? Kind of flaggish, right? We saw a little bit of move down. It touched this 167 area, 1067, and then it just made a little bit of higher low. So now if we can get above this 1096 and then eventually 1103, those are the two major levels that it kept on sort of seeing the resistance, right? Over here and then over here. So we really need to get above that. It can be quick or slow, whatever, but as long as it's above this channel, down channel, it remains sort of elevated and good for bullish move higher. Significant level on the top side, target I would say on the upside would be 1115, right? We have multiple touch points there that it got rejected from, so that is a key level. Once above that, I think it's sort of like, there you go, 1146, 1149 is the downtrend line in the higher time frame that we can target on the upside, right? And which, to be honest with you, could be a target of this sort of bull flag as well. I mean, if you want to call that, it's what, 1011 to 1111. It's around 100 points, right? So 100 points from here would be 1085. Another, so that can be in the ballpark. We'll see what happens, but it just needs to maintain 1067 or 53 if it breaks down. Monday, we can see if it wants to bounce from the channel bottom here. So that's something that we can keep an eye on as well. Microsoft. Let's go into monthly time frames. Similar story as in Apple, as in Amazon. From that perspective, the only thing that differs from Apple is that Apple is above its long-term uptrend line. Over here, it is below its long-term uptrend line. So the first test, excuse me, on the upside would be to the back test of this uptrend line. Like, if it wants to break above 316, that is, looks good, definitely looks good for the bullish side. Again, if it needs to fail, it would probably fail from this back test of this uptrend line. But before that, we have 316 and then 304 as the past week's low as our downside support for right now. Okay, Square, very nice trades this past week. Really enjoyed trading that on a higher time frame, monthly view. Still towards the lower end of its higher time frame structure, but it's showing some good buying pressure. So usually, if you want to swing a name like that here, what you would want is ideally that it to go down a little bit more and see if it holds, and then once it comes back up where it goes green, you go and take a position there against the low of that particular monthly bar, right? Because then that means your risk is low, but you're targeting the breakout on the upside, if that's how it plays out. Okay, there's something, again, these are setups, chart-based setups. You want to time your entry with the minimal risk. That's what your goal should be as a trader, to make sure that your entry is where your stop loss has a very less chance of getting hit, right? Because ideally that's where your risk will be, and if your risk is not hit, that means you're in the trade and it's doing good. Okay, NVDA, monthly time frame, nice looking again bar. We have a monthly bars backing here in a green bullish monthly bar. We are above the breakout, above the downtrend line, right? Bullish bars, and now we have a little bit of dip, weakness, and now if it goes back up, that means that the bar is turning from red to green. So that is the level you want to see, right? What is that level? It opened at 273.75. So once it goes above that, this bar will turn green. So that can be something, again, I'm looking for a setup. So it could be flagging here on a higher time frame, right? If I go into daily, a little too steep for a flag, but it just needs to hold this level, I would say. It did kind of look weak on Friday, the way it was trading. It wasn't showing any significant bounce, but as long as it's above 256, it is okay from a higher level structure perspective, and we can see a little bit of bounce if it goes there, right? Something like this, and then it bounces, and we'll see if it wants to make a head and shoulder or if it wants to make a higher low and then go back up from here. But 256 is sort of the level to watch on the downside, to target if it goes further weak on Monday or Tuesday or something like that. Okay. BA sort of in the up channel, but after touching the bottom of its higher time frame down channel right here, right? So this was the line. We are sort of in the uptrend line here, up channel here. If I go into daily time frame, I don't see any big bearish bars, right? There's more clutter of green bars, right? And no follow through downside to any red bar. This was sort of the pattern. It broke out above. Looks like we filled the gap here. Let's look at it in the lower time frame, hourly time frame. Yeah, I mean, it's just, still 187.6 if you really want to be exact, but it looks nice again. From the structure point of view, it's kind of making this, and as long as it maintains the price structure above this trend line, and then it breaks above this one right here, you can target 197.6, and then if it wants to go higher in that kind of a manner, right? But it is making higher lows, so that is a good sign. As long as it's within its up channel, it looks good. Okay. Roku, I know I haven't traded that in a while personally, because it's just been sort of a dead, right? It's not giving any nice range, no good setups to play, so I mean, it's just sideways for now. Does not really interest me. But if you want to take a long entry here against the low of these 91, right, because we have a couple of bottom wicks here, again, let it go down. If it goes back up about 143, again, that can be a swing entry, or even a lower time frame if the weekly bar where it goes red to green can be an entry. But I know few people like to look at this sort of a, I don't know what you call it, falling wedge or whatever, and then once it price break above that, they try to take it long position. That's a trading setup. Sure, you can trade that. I personally don't like this kind of price structure, right? It's just not seeing any buyers right now. So, and I don't want to short it because it's towards the low end of its recent range, and it's just risk and reward again is not there. Okay, Netflix. Let's look at the monthly view. Yeah, it's nice from the monthly perspective, because that's where the recent, not the recent, but the previous resistance level structure was, because once we got above that, we saw a nice rally to the upside. So technically speaking, we are back right there, where this level was, and we are now seeing some bottom wicks and some decrease in the selling pressure, right? We're already not seeing, if I go into, let's say, weekly bar, we're not seeing any weekly trend bars that are bearish, right? And we saw these two bearish weeks, right, in itself, but from structural point of view, they are holding above the high of above the half of this bullish bar, right? So that's the last bullish thrust we saw on the upside, and these past 2 weeks have not been able to get it even below or even touch this half point of this bullish bars, right? So that means it's seeing some interest, right? In the daily time frame, again, this 366.4 level is where we see buyers step in every time the chart trades there, and if we can maintain that, sure, it looks good. I mean, it can be an inverted head and shoulder as well, with this being the left shoulder, this being the head, and this structure that we are currently seeing being the right shoulder, right? And the neckline, that means, becomes this 398 level right here. So that can be a target, and then see if it wants to break higher above that, right? So earnings is coming probably mid of April as well, so that can be a catalyst. But intraday time frame, it does give good trades. I just personally don't like to trade it that much because I don't have a good history with this name personally. But if you do, if you like this name, sure, we do have the levels and you can play that, right? It is right here. You know, if it gets above this, I would say 375, 377, it has room till 381 because that's where the previous swing high is, and that would be a move above the downtrend line, and then you'll see what happens. But that's how you trade it in an intraday time frame to try to time your entry at a breakout, you know, from the trend line, something like that. Let's look at a couple of more. Sharp. Higher time frame looks okay, I think, maybe. Oops, sorry. Let's go look at the other one. So some pause to the downside move. We have this big massive move to the downside once it broke down from this uptrend line, right? And now we are seeing some slowdown in the selling pressure, and you can see that just by looking at the price action, right? We had this longest bearish bar, then this one right here, this monthly bar, had some overlap, right, but still closed below the low of previous month. This one right here also have an overlap. So overlap means that, you know, it's not aggressively bearish as it was over here, right, because there is minimal overlap, right? So and then we do have a lower low, right, and a lower high. Let's see if this one bar right now, if it goes, I think if it goes weak and then goes back up, again, great setup. Lower time frame, I would say 647, 645 is the area to watch for it to hold. If it holds that, that's nice because, you know, we had a closure right here. We had a closure right here. So that means this level, in terms of, you know, the price, it has some significance. If we can be above that one, it's nice. We'll just have to target 780 first and then see if it wants to go back up on a higher time frame. Let's go into weekly. Yeah, so you know, we had this weekly bar as the bullish bar. That's our sort of a reference, and now we have these two sort of inside kind of weeks, right? This was the inside. This one, yes, we did move above the previous week high, but you know, still that inside, I would say, right? We have the closure. So all these closures are excuse me, are in this time sort of here in this zone. So if we can be above that zone, keeps things bullish. If he breaks down below 647, 645, I think in a daily time frame, something like that, that means it's getting weak, right? It does give you a flavor of sort of, again, inverted head and shoulder kind of a pattern here as well, this being the double bottom, and we'll see if this is sort of getting tight. It is getting tight, right? So we'll see if it can break above that and give us a move towards 780, and then, you know, who knows if it wants to fill this gap right here all the way till 891. Okay, let's look at one more. Which one? Facebook. Okay. Yeah. Oops. Still not heavy, I would say, but I just think there were better charts to trade personally than Facebook. Again, if you like it, sure, that's fine, but I just think there are other better charts than Facebook. It's just, it moves, it has this I don't know, I really can't figure out this chart that much. It just moves its own ways. Yes, the only way I can analyze this price structure is that we have majority of the bars recently showing up as bullish bars, right? Any bearish bar we see, significant bearish bar, don't see a breakdown, don't see a follow through to the downside, right? Thursday we saw this one, no follow through to the downside, right? So maybe it just wants to fill this gap, and this is sort of the structure low, 223, something like that. And then if it wants to go back up, let me see in a different chart. If I bring that, let's say a 30-minute view, yeah, the 30-minute view looks nice, is tradable basically. I would say a lower time frame is tradable because you can just kind of time your entry based on the trend lines. Like say, hey, if it opens up on Monday, you know, something like over here, gets back above 225.2, that means it would be breaking above this down channel, so you can trade, right? Or if it gets rejected here, you know, based on where it opens, it gets back below 222.2, then you can target the Weekly low here around 219.5 because that means it's giving up this recent structure. So on a lower time frame, I think it offers better entries, better view to time your entry, but on a higher time frame, it's just not giving any good signal in terms of where it wants to go. So trading on a lower time frame makes sense. Okay, so hope you guys like this little video, weekly updates, and always I would say spend some time reading the charts that you like to trade, making some plan in your head that some sort of what if scenarios, and then try to see, okay, where my entry could be so that my risk is low, my stop loss does not get hit, things like that. You have to know it as a trader. That will help you, that will be consistent, keep you consistent, because you have to have certain methodology framework through which you analyze a chart, or things like that. This is a chart of NQ. That's my sort of favorite thing to trade, or scalp, I would say. And on a higher time frame, monthly view, it is giving the same QQQ feel, right? Bottom wicks right here, and then of course you have this new monthly bar showing up. So far a red bar, but again we only have 1 or 2 days of that just passed, so still we'll still have to see what happens in the coming few days. Okay, let's quickly look at SPX as well. Let me bring the other view. This one is very busy. So again, similar view, but looks nice, right? If this was sort of a lower time frame chart, let's say it was not a monthly chart and it was, let's say, a daily or an hourly chart, this is a bullish setup, right? You have bottom wicks right here, so that is bullish in itself. The chart is above the downtrend line in the lower time frame. New monthly bar started. It's going green. It's nice. So it's just a good setup to tag along, right? In a lower time frame, daily view, it did not break down. So the last time we have traded here previously, right over here, we saw quick moves to the downside, right over here as well. This one was one, but then it made a double top and then went back down. So right now, if it can hold this area, build some momentum, kind of constructive price action, I think it can go move back up, right? It still has that inverted head and shoulders sort of a look and feel. We still have some room to the downside, and it can still maintain overall bullish structure, but can offer some bearish trades if it breaks down. But as long as it's holding 44.50, I think on a higher time frame, it can move up. Okay, so hope you guys have a good rest of your day and the weekend, and we'll talk soon next week. Thank you guys. Take care.